Okay,
it's
it works.
recording.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So kick me out, but we're back in and ready to record them
We're
episode 8.
rolling. Yeah, them episode 8.
Rolling. Fred Durst in it.
Fred Durston.
Lead singer of Limp Bizkit.
As I was getting ready, I was listening to some 2000s classics from back in the day. Rock alternatives.
2000, like Matthew Good Band.
No. Like, what came up? The stuff on the playlist, there was like Linkin Park on there. There was
yeah, a little Papa Roach.
there was some Papa Roach. There was oh god, I'm already forgetting the names of the bands.
Oh, what else
Anyways.
did I listen to? AFI.
Oh hell yeah, AFI. I still unironically like AFI.
I know that was one of my that made me like you the most was when you told me how much your passion for AFI was like that was it. I was like I never met another person who even knows about AFI, let alone likes them that
really,
passionately.
I went to a concert not that long ago.
Not too long.
When I was in Vancouver, probably maybe like 3 years ago, I saw them.
I can't believe they're still together.
I know, they're playing stuff. But yeah, so we don't need to go on to like a random tangent about music from the early 2000s.
Yeah.
We're talking about
sweet like punk emo rock.
Oh yeah, very emo. If you couldn't tell, is probably my past aesthetic. How do I say that word?
Are you electrocuted?
Anyways, so yeah, we'll talk about the TV show now. Them.
Yep.
Episode 8.
Boom.
Bam. And
it's good that we're starting with something funny and confusing, because as soon as we start talking about the episode, it's going to get real raw and real.
Real raw, real fast, and this one jumps all over the place. So it's going to be really weird to describe. I kind of just wrote it down in chronological order, but we'll see.
It's like a Papa Roach song. Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Suffocation! Anyways.
We got that out of the way.
Yeah, out of the way. So this episode it cuts to day 9. And the last episode was day 7. So we skipped a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, because we realized that, day 8 night was the reveal of little baby Chester in a box.
Day 7 night, though.
Or was that day 7 night? Okay, yeah. So there was a jump of one day to where you find out that poor Lucky is unlucky in the insane asylum.
Yeah, a court-ordered insane asylum. And it starts out with her very drugged. It's reminding me a lot of a different movie with oh no, what is that one that takes place in an insane asylum? Is this going to be another episode of references that I don't know the names of?
I've had my fair share of those. Insane asylum, drugged. Are you talking about The Invisible Woman?
No, it's got Jack Nicholson in it, young Jack Nicholson.
One something over the cuckoo's nest.
One flies over the cuckoo's nest or something?
Flies. Yeah, it's like one word I can't remember. One something over the cuckoo's nest. And that's when the chief throws the thing out the window to let him
and that's
free.
What Ratchet is based off of, loosely.
Well, the nurse is Nurse Ratchet in that movie.
Exactly, yeah. So
Nurse
Ratchet
exist in that movie, yeah. I did not finish that show. I did not enjoy it.
It's a different vibe altogether from like the original movie, but that scene, that hospital that they're in, reminds me a lot of that original movie. Yeah, where it's
Yeah, it's
very
very similar, very
similar
depressing.
vibes, and like the nurse, we'll get into her character. The main doctor of this insane asylum reminds me of Nurse Pratchett, which is not a good
Yeah,
thing.
just
Uh,
not a good thing.
Nurse Ratchet, did I say Pratchett? Nurse
Ratchet,
Ratchet.
Ratchet. You said Ratchet. You're good.
No,
You're good.
just like thinking of Terry Pratchett. It's like, oh,
Oh,
not quite
I do
the
love
same,
Terry Pratchett. That's
but we
very
are not
different from Nurse Ratchet, though.
very different. So yeah, she's in insane asylum, very drugged, and so of course the cinematography is very fluid and dreamlike in this.
Wonky.
You see a
Fish
lot of close,
lens. A lot of fish lens.
a lot of fish lens, yeah, wide angle lenses, and you see a lot of close-ups of people's temples where they have some mysterious stitching.
Oh.
I am assuming
Well, no, no,
is
they're burn marks from the electric. Yeah, they're actually from the shock therapy. I thought at first they were stitches as well, but lobotomy
oh,
stitches are up on the forehead. So, like
what?
these on the sides, that's
Oh,
from electrocution.
because there are two types of lobotomies. Well, several types, I think. One goes up the nose,
Oh.
and then one you can go through the temple.
Oh, okay. So maybe that is that. Oh,
That's
Jesus. Well, that'd be even worse.
that's why I thought that, but maybe
Actually,
I'm wrong.
that yeah, because at first I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that looks like a scar, like a cutting, but I didn't know that that was a entry point for lobotomies. I only knew it was like through the eye
I have
or
the
like
eyes.
up here. Well, because I know that you can like you can put that ice pick through
Yeah, well,
people's
it's
eyeballs.
the same as the nose situation.
Oh yeah, you should watch that lore TV show on Prime. It's very disgusting.
Oh,
Talks
yeah.
all
See,
about that.
I listened to the podcast because it didn't have visuals.
The visuals make it way worse.
I used to listen to it on road trips. That
Oh, that's
podcast.
hilarious. On road trips, just driving along,
So
listen to
casual.
letters.
So yeah, it's we find out later. So the next scene we're actually seeing Henry sitting down with the main doctor of this insane asylum.
Yeah,
Um
blonde lady.
talking to the doctor of the psychiatric
And
hospital
she's an
location.
asshole.
She's a bitch. Very
Yep,
bad.
she's a bitch.
Friggin' bitch. I don't like that lady.
She's
Uh,
she's wearing her tight, friggin' stupid dresses and her tight bunny hair, and she's racist as hell.
super fucking racist. And she basically states that Lucky is on an involuntary hold, which means she can only be released once the hospital deems her to be healed. In quotations, because their version of healing, I'm assuming, is not what our version of healing is.
No, I don't think it is.
And Henry's basically just trying to get her to let him go in to see his wife, or at least let her know that he's there,
Communicate,
and
like that's
right,
all.
and that he's with her, he supports her, or even just let her kids see her because they both need to see each other. The doctor's like, I can't do that. She's not in a very good state of mind right now. I don't think it would be healthy for your children.
Yeah,
So you're
one
just
Henry
getting a
says
period.
Yeah, because Henry says that like, oh well, I just want her to know that I don't blame her for what she did.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
important for
And
later.
which is an important thing for later. Yeah. Um, but we don't get to find out too much in that scene yet. It
Yeah.
keeps cutting back to similar scenes throughout the episode. Um, the next scene we get to see is what I was the most excited to find out about, which is what's happening to Bets.
Okay, so this was the part that I had to bite my lip on the most because this is the part that makes me the happiest in the entire show is Betts's eventual demise. And like even at the beginning of the show, I almost like said something about her eventually going and getting trapped into it,
Oh
like a
no.
bomb shelter. So like,
Oh
no,
my
you just have to
god.
wait. Just have to let her
Right?
experience it herself.
Oh, it's so
But
good. I was
it's
very
so
confused at
satisfying.
first, but yeah, it makes sense that it was a bomb shelter. So
Yeah.
it shows his beautiful farm, and then it just shows like this random like compound
Little
looking building. It's like a
Well,
little,
it's just like a little like it's just like a little like hatch on the top of
yeah,
like a
it,
field in the middle of a
because
field.
the intro shot, it is kind of a close up of it, so it made it look way bigger than it actually was. And then when you actually
Yeah,
see a person next to it, oh, okay, it's a bomb shelter. That makes more sense. So it is just like a little hatch, and
well, hatch.
we we see her on the inside, and George, I think his name is, he's like wallpapered the entire inside of this bunker to be the same wallpaper that she has in her house, and like he's filled it with clothes for her and bought like pink clothes because she doesn't wear pink, and he thinks that she'd look nice in pink. And I'm just like, what
Oh, fuck you, dude. That's like I watched this movie recently where the like douchey guy tells this girl that he's just going on a blind date with that it's like, women back in the day just used to wear dresses and you would just look so good in a dress if you just and she's wearing like just a sweatshirt
oh,
and like sweatpants. It's like, you would look good in a dress if you really wanted to dress like a woman. It's just so insulting the way he says it. It's like, ugh.
oh, what
It's
a
like the
dick.
same way with a pink dress. Like, just, you just don't
Yeah,
wear enough pink. It's like, you need to wear this because you're in a bomb shelter.
we don't see too much of that. It's just kind of like this episode is very much quick blips all over the place. And
Well,
so
and
next
again,
we get
because
to
because
see,
of what you told me about how the episodes have different times, this episode's only 36 minutes long.
yeah,
Which because I was like, oh wait, Emma told me that one of the episodes is like only 30 minutes, so I'm gonna look at the time code. And so that's how I knew that it was going to be a messed up episode because it's really short.
yes. Yeah, exactly. Because they didn't have too much to like too much time to show everything. So it just feels like, yeah, shit is gonna go down in the next two episodes because they're really just showing the bare minimum of each situation.
Mm-hmm. But it's pretty bad
And
already.
I mean, yeah, they're showing enough. They're showing enough. This shit's getting
Well,
pretty bad, but
do you
just
want to
gonna
talk
keep getting
about
worse because they're,
Henry and the kids?
yeah. So because the next thing that we see is and this kind of leads into that situation, we see the neighbors are discussing the
Oh yeah.
sergeant shooting, um
Mm-hmm.
and it shows that one of the husbands is like absolutely convinced that the Emerys took Betty, and it just
Yeah.
keeps we keep just seeing scenes of him like looking out the window and just staring at the Emerys house. And so they finally arrive home from the hospital when they were talking to that doctor bitch, and
Yeah. 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 Well,
and
and Henry says it's like, please let her know that we want to talk to her and that we love her and like all these positive things before he left because he wasn't
yeah,
allowed to see her.
yeah, yeah, but they weren't allowed to see her, so they just all came back home, and then you just see that this neighbor is staring at them very
Mm-hmm.
menacingly, and it cuts to the inside of the Emery's house, and um, the kids are like, "Do we really have to be back here?" It's like, "Yes, just pack your things," and or no,
No, they
they
weren't
didn't
packing their
want us.
things anymore. I don't think. I think
Well,
they were staying there.
actually, I said that incorrectly. So the kids were didn't want to stay where they were staying before. They wanted to, I think, stay at the home.
Oh yeah,
I
no, they were
think
going to
what was
their aunt's
happening,
house
but
or whatever. They're
Henry
going
was,
to like their family in like
yeah, so they
the black
they were
safe
just
area, and the kids didn't want
they
to.
were yeah, they were just packing in order to get there. So that's what was
Yeah.
happening. And while the kids were in their rooms packing, the neighbor
Ooh.
shows up with a baseball bat and just slams Henry.
And like the
And the next,
camera is so shocking in that moment because you have no idea
it's
it's
a
gonna
wide
happen.
shot. Yeah, and you just see him run, like, bust into frame and just immediately hits him with the baseball bat from
He's like,
behind. So he's, like, not
"Hey,
even
buddy,"
expecting it. Yeah. Oh,
buddy
no,
being
yeah, he's,
replaced by a far more racist term.
"Hey, hmm? Yeah," and then just slam, and then
Hey, you!
nice.
I'm gonna hit you with a baseball bat.
Yeah, so Yeah, the next time we see Henry, he is tied up, sitting in a chair, and the two kids they kind of
Oh.
are in various states of being, um, I don't know, like threatened to be killed.
Well, yeah, guns pointed at them.
Guns at them most of the time. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah.
basically
Well, the
at
poor
this
little
point.
girl is sitting in the lap of the one white guy and has a gun to her head.
Yeah, yeah, and Ruby is just sitting next to the other dude on the couch, and she's just
Yeah,
like, "What the fuck?" Um, and the one asshole guy, the main guy that's kind of been an asshole throughout the entire series, the one that is the most hateful of
yeah.
the
The
Emerys,
main.
most racist husband.
I
He
think
is
he loves
interrogating
bats as
Henry.
well. Like I think he has like a thing for
Oh,
bats. I don't
yeah,
think he likes his actual wife very
there's some
much.
weird dialogue where he's interrogating Henry about where Bets is. He's like, "We know that you've done something with her, or that you know something about what's going on with her." And then he's like, "You don't think she's a beautiful woman? How could you not think she's a beautiful woman?" And Henry's like, "What does that have to do with anything? I haven't
Yeah,
even spoken to the woman." And he's like, "Don't call her that. Her name is Bets." And he's like, "Betty or whatever." It's like, "Yeah,
yeah.
okay, Betty." I'm
Okay.
just like, "What?"
What the
I
fuck is this all
seriously don't
about?
know anything. It's like, well, you have to know something, or your crazy wife has done something, and he just, keeps interrogating,
Yeah.
and eventually convinces them to kind of let the kids out of it and just focus the anger on to him. Um, things start progressing, and things start progressing.
Well, but then they say that like, oh, we're hungry, and they force Ruby to like cook a chicken.
Yeah, that was the next thing I was gonna say. So
Oh, okay. This is so weird.
yeah, so they kind of separate the girls. They bring one of them takes Gracie down to the basement, then the other one is like, "Oh, just put her in the kitchen." And so he takes her into the kitchen and sees that there's a random raw chicken in the fridge, and he's like, "Do you know how to cook?" He's like, "All right, cook this." And then meanwhile, he grabs like a bunch all of the like sharp objects out of the cupboard and brings them into the living room and just like slams them down on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so Ruby like,
Oh,
cooks the chicken and all that stuff,
such a
and then
weird. It's such a weird
ah,
interrogation. Like
it's just
to like ask.
bizarre. So much
Like
weird
who?
shit happens,
I've never heard of
and
a
I
hostage situation where you like ask children to cook you a meal while you're
yeah,
interrogating your father.
interrogation is going absolutely nowhere, and then Henry looks over and he sees his demon dude, the blackface dude, sitting over there, and he's just kind of like looking at him, and
Oh
then
no.
they're clearly not getting anywhere with this interrogation, and the one main asshole uh husband dude grabs these like gardening shears, or like these
Yeah,
kitchen shears,
definitely gardening
and
shears just by the shape of them. Yeah.
just by the shape of them, and he's like, open your hand to Henry. And because the one guy keeps threatening the daughter, he does it. He opens his
Yeah, yeah,
hand
because they point a
and
gun to her head.
to Ruby's head, and she's screaming, and
It's just like
they
this goes.
just stoop, yeah, snips the fingers off, and
Oh.
I didn't watch it because I couldn't watch it. Fucking man
I didn't
shit,
watch
man.
it because I couldn't watch it.
You need to remember this podcast is called Gorehead and the Wiener for a reason. Even if this is the casual creeps part.
It's not
Yeah,
so casual at the moment, so I understand you're flinching.
yes. And yeah, then he looks back over to the oh my god, to his demon ghost dude, and he's kind of
Shows
like
him his
happily
stumpy
showing off
fingers.
his stumpy fingers too, and he's like, "Hey, we're buddies now, we're twins."
Stump
And
buddies.
buddies, and they basically start tying him up more, drag him down to the basement. And at this point, both Ruby and Gracie are in the basement, and they take this rope and they're basically trying to hang him in his own basement. And there's a lot of parallels to his blackface demons Peach's story, with his
Story,
fingers
yeah,
getting really off and him being hanged on the
yeah,
tree.
just for making rotten peach.
Yay. So
Yeah, and the daughters get to watch their father have
and
be
the
hung.
daughters are there watching this whole situation unfold, and it the episode actually ends mid, like when they're trying to
Hanging,
hang. Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't actually know how this is going to end at this point, but that's their whole story of this
It's the end of
episode. It's lovely
Henry and the girls.
in this episode. Hooray.
But
So
there's
yeah,
still more fun to come.
there is so much more fun to come. We can go back to bets. Because
Bets. I'm just
we
happy
go
to
back
go
to her
back
a
to
few
bets.
times. Oh
I
yeah.
hate bets
So
so much.
the next time we see her, she's having a fancy dinner and she's got her her pink dress on, and they're sitting at this um chicken, again with the chicken, a chicken dinner in
Ooh,
the
that's a good
bunker.
point. There's a chicken follow through because he holds a
Yeah.
dead chicken above the bunker at the beginning and still feathered and everything.
Yeah. So he has to pluck
Chicken.
the chicken.
I guess well because I know that that's why in the South of America fried chicken became a thing is because the slaves were only given what the white people deemed were the bad parts of the chicken, and so they figured out a way to create fried chicken, and that's why it tastes so delicious. And eventually, the white people realized the stuff they were making with the scraps that they gave them were better than what they were having, and they forced them to make it for them. And so, chicken is very ingrained in racial America between black
Oh,
people and white people.
I had no idea. Wow.
So it makes
That
sense that
makes
like
me
chicken is used a lot.
that makes me not want to ever eat fried chicken because it
Well,
makes me feel like I'm doing that to them.
it was stolen from. That's why like fried chicken, they figured like, oh my god, it's like why they seem to be enjoying it, but because they but that is like a story across the entire world. Like all the greatest dishes in the world
That's really
essentially
true.
came from poor people that had nothing but made it taste good, and then rich people stole it. That is
So true.
a story across the world.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah, in this
good
case
point.
chicken is very important to this story because yeah, definitely any North American African American person would
Yeah.
resonate with chicken.
Yeah, it makes sense. But yeah, back to Bets, and they're having this dinner, and she seems shockingly happy. Like she's putting on a very good, happy face, pretending to be enjoying this moment with George. And she has her
George.
white George. She has her white wine, and George can see that she's kind of like upset about the wine, and he's like, "Oh, what's wrong? Everything has to be perfect. Everything here is supposed to be exactly like what you want." Kind of like showing how delusional this
Yeah.
weirdo is. And
Oh,
she's like, "Oh, no, it's okay. I just normally I put 2 ice cubes in my white wine." And he's like, "Oh, well, oh my god, I'm so stupid. How could I not have known that? I'll be right back. I'm gonna get the ice cubes. Has to be perfect." And he gets up and leaves. And you kind of I was starting to piece this together at this point because you can tell she's like intently watching him unscrew the bottle of wine and then puts the cork and stuff down, and she's looking at it, and then so it's like, okay, she has something planned up her sleeve. And
monitoring things.
later on, comes back, and we just see them finishing off their dinner, and she's trying to kind of convince him to let her stay in the house with him, because if it's true love, then he has nothing really to worry about. And she's like picking up the dishes and bringing them back to the sink, and then comes back and she has the corkscrew in her hand and stabs it in his neck. What a great display of true love.
True love. Kind of
Right
even
after
looks like
that.
Wesley from The Princess Bride.
Yeah. True love.
True,
But it's
true love.
true love. And it's funny because he just immediately like just takes this corkscrew out of his neck
He's
and
so
he's
nonchalant about getting stabbed in the neck with a corkscrew.
yeah.
He's like,
Um
I'm really disappointed that that's how you feel. I think that's the first thing he says.
yes. And he just climbs out of the bunker and then leaves. And she's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's
Just
like, I
happened?
love you, so I don't care how long it'll take. And he just pieces it. But like,
Yeah.
you don't even see like a bunch of blood shooting out of his neck. I guess she missed the artery,
I
so
was gonna say, like, because if she got the artery, he probably would have died.
yeah, but she
So
must have missed it. So it's just like flesh in the neck, which
yeah,
you could live through very easily. The only reason why getting slashed, cut in the neck is dangerous is because of the artery and
yeah.
the whatever the other one is. I don't remember what the other one's.
Jugular.
The jugular. There you go.
Jugular. I don't know.
Yeah, artery. Well, I guess the artery could jugular could be an artery. Whatever.
I don't know science.
I didn't take
I
biology
art
beyond grade 10. I only
same.
did chemistry. I know how to make
I don't.
bombs.
I might have gotten a D or a C in biology.
Can you get a D? I've never
I
seen.
don't know. Oh yeah, we
I
got
don't
D's in everything.
know.
But I normally get A's and everything else, and I just got like a random C minus or something in biology. My mom's like,
Any science.
"Yeah, you're an artist."
That's why I
Keeps
had such
long.
a
Figure
horrible
that out.
time going into art. It's because I was a scientist.
Oh yeah, we
I
had
did Chem
switched
AP.
roles. Oh my god,
Yeah.
you're a unicorn.
Dumb unicorn.
You dumb unicorn. Um,
But
yeah, and
yeah,
now I guess we finished Betts's story for this episode because we don't
yeah.
see anything else. So
She's trapped in a bunker and he just pieces it and says, I'll wait as long as I have to.
I'll wait as long as I have to. How romantic. So now we can get back to Lucky's story. And she has spoken to she sees Miss Beaumont
Yeah.
in her own cell room, and she kind of gets in there and is trying to talk to her, but Miss Beaumont isn't really responding. She's kind of just like all like
Yeah.
hunched over in her chair, kind of out of it.
Very
In my
comatose.
mind, it's like, okay, well, she's had a lobotomy, so she's probably not there anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Probably that's what happened. And then this like kindly nurse man comes in, and he's
Yeah.
the only one that is being nice to her throughout this whole process. And he's
Mm-hmm.
like, "Please get out of here. Don't get us in trouble, please. You need to leave." And so she's like, "Okay, okay, okay. I'll leave." And I think the next time we see Lucky, she's talking to the doctor bitch lady,
Yeah.
and she's
Oh, yeah. And she
this
says
part
terrible things to her.
so mad, and because the doctor is telling her that her family does not want to see her, her children are terrified of her, and they basically just and her husband agrees that the kids can't see her until she's gotten better. And especially she's like, especially after what you've done, I don't think it's healthy for the kids to see you. And it's just like, what I've done? What do you mean? Do you think I killed my kid? So
Yeah.
the doctors all think that she killed Chester,
Mm-hmm.
which to me is a little weird that they
Well,
would
and
assume
that's
that.
why at the end with the white guys capturing the husband, uh Henry, they say it's like, oh, your wife killed your child. And it's like, no, some cracker killed my child just like you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it's
And
like,
that was the only time you saw them pause a little bit in
yeah,
their
yeah, yeah, they were like, oh, and they kind of like, yeah, realized they were doing the same thing that those rapists did.
yeah, but
Like,
it didn't stop
no
them for very
different.
long.
No, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they go into the basement, so that's a good part.
Yes. Yeah, and then I guess the next, again, it's just snippets here and there, but we see Lucky now. She wakes up in a hospital room, like a surgery room. She's strapped down to a bed, and the only person in there with her is the kindly nurse dude.
Yeah.
And she's like, "What's going on?" And he's saying, "The doctor thinks you're too far gone." Um, and then that she basically wants to act right away, and then you just slowly see his face start to meld into the priest, the old priest ghost demon man. Yay!
Yeah,
And
into this horrible burn-faced white asshole that groped her on the bus with black eyes, and he's like the kingpin of all of this.
the kingpin of it, and he's basically saying that because of her strength in fighting him, he's going to let this lobotomy basically erase her memory of any thoughts of the family that she used to have. So basically, while she's being lobotomized, he's saying that he is going to be going out and fulfilling his merciful duty to ensure that her family is basically fucked.
Yeah. What a merciful
Yeah,
duty.
what a merciful duty
He
poop
is
head.
a duty.
Yeah, that's I
The
feel
face says it all. That's the duty face.
the duty pays.
Your duty.
Yeah, so this episode was a little chaotic with our recap of it, but
Yeah, it's a short episode, but there's a lot happening, and it's very sporadic and
yeah,
thrown all over the place. But again, I think this may be our shortest episode ever at 33 minutes. So
33 minutes, pretty good.
we got it.
I
We got
hope
in
I
there.
hope it makes sense.
Oh yeah, who knows? That's left up to the viewer. We don't have to worry about that.
I don't know about it, but yeah, this is a quickie because we have two more left. I think we've got Covenant
Yes.
2,
Ooh, the
and
next
then
one is an interesting one.
okay, and then
It's the artsy
the
one.
ooh, that'll be a longer episode probably then.
You're already planning it. I love the artsy ones.
Yes, I'll wear my beret.
Yes, yes. Little mesh on top. Like you have
Yeah.
to wear like one of those little tiny hats they wear to like the royals' weddings.
Oh yeah.
One of those tiny hats. Be extra snooty.
I
You just
just
have
have a
one.
sharpener.
You're the only person I know that has a pencil sharpener.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I know anyone else that actually has a pencil sharpener. I just use pens.
Oh, it's because I'm an
But you
artiste.
draw. You're an artiste. You're a true artiste. I'm just a schlub that writes stuff down on paper.
The schlub writing notes over here.
Yeah. Your fancy
Yeah.
pencil sharpener.
Before we turn this into an hour-long episode about pencil sharpeners, we will
call it.
close this episode here. And thanks for listening. And we will see you guys next week.
Dead babies are
Bye.
sad.
Yes.
All right, podcast's over.